Hello and welcome to Sophie & Co. Me, Sophie Shevardnadze. As Brussels goes on a renewed push to bring more countries into its fold, the divisions inside nations affected deepen. The call for European integration rings on Kiev's squares. Some fear it will turn into Western expansion. Who really knows what's for the best? Well, those who create always feel the tide turning sharper than others. So I asked an artist about the changes in the air. Emir Kusturica, filmmaker, actor, director, writer, musician, you name it, everything. Great to have you on our show today. So, Ukraine has been in the news lately, everyone's talking about it. You have said that Ukraine is looking at a Yugoslav scenario. What exact parallels would you draw with Ukraine and Yugoslavia? Do you think a civil war is possible there?
I don't think civil war will come because the question of Ukraine is more a question about who will give more, because I have a feeling that those people who are awakened from their European colleagues, they are much more agreeable to accept some good bid. So this artificial name of what we call today NATO is in fact spreading, or what they used to say in World War I, Drang nach Osten. And now this is very visible that in fact European formally doesn't mean NATO, but in fact it's very much connected. Why I'm saying this? I have example in which, for the strategic reason, Bulgaria and Romania became Europe before even Serbia and Croatia. What is Europe for me? Europe is an old system that gave us Renaissance and that gave us the biggest achievements in the Judeo-Christian civilization. And I am behind this. But each time it comes every in a while in the century to the crisis, then there is a formal way to go for the goods which are on the other side. My problem, little bit problem of understanding this, if the present administration with the president is 100% decided not to go to Europe, as they said. I don't know if this is a sincere act of Mr. what is his name, Yanukovych, or is it in fact negotiating, trying to get more from Europe? But the point is, they will never get money from Europe, because Europe cannot give them nothing.
They don't have money.
They don't have money. And now the question, who has the money? And they all know that Russia has the money, because Russia has the sources in Siberia, which they don't have, for whom Napoleon was coming and trying to get it, Hitler was trying to get it, and even Madeleine Albright said that it's unfair if such a small number of people living in such a great territory. She was in fact thinking that your gas, your oil, and all the minerals and all the stuff that you have over there, it's unfairly not shared with them.
But what do you think about the people who are on the Maidan Square? What do you think of them?
They look very, very frozen. They are like many other, but I think...
but do you believe in their sincere wish to be integrated into Europe?
Some of them, yes. I watched the Pankovic, the man who was Nazi and who is celebrating, who is in fact marking anniversary of the death of the man who was a Nazi. So you could have a wide range of different people there. You could have people who really believe when they come to Europe they will have 1,000 euros each for a month. And you have people who are instrumentalized, who are trained. Because when you see Syria, it's very obvious that Syria is not an uprising that came just itself. I've been in Syria, beautiful people, tender people, fantastically cleaned, like never I've seen in the whole Arab and Persian world. And what broke out there is for sure organized. Who does it?
It's export of fundamental Islam to Syria.
Listen, I'm the victim of fundamentalist in Bosnia. I'm ethnically cleansed from Sarajevo, like 150, 200,000 Serbs from there. And I know what it is. This war was always the one that was attracting people who didn't want to fight. In fact, he's a fundamentalist.
What do you mean attracting people who didn't want to fight?
Because everybody likes to live in a good society in which you could meet a friend, drink coffee with Muslims, speak about theology with the Orthodox, speak about electricity about Nikola Tesla and many other issues. When one nation is concerned, it's always less attractive. So Sarajevo was multi-ethnic. Today, as much as I was fighting for Yugoslavia to stay together, part in which I'm active, which is called Republic of Srpska, I think it's time to try to live alone, to use and to choose self-definition as the issue of self-defense. Because if you are sharing space with somebody who tells you that Muslim ideology will win in the end, in between Catholics and the Orthodox, the future of the state is not guaranteed.
But I want to get a little bit back to Sarajevo, since you brought it up. You talk about it all the time, it's in your films, you write about it, you even say that you dream about it. You've never been back. What would happen if you went back to Sarajevo?
The problem is that I'm emotionally blocked, because most of the people who I love, they died, naturally, in the war. Sarajevo is ethnically cleansed city in which 95% of people are Muslims. Sarajevo was constituted from at least 150, 200,000 Serbs were pushed out. It sounds paradoxical. The city was closed by Serbian troops around the hills. But most of the people who were civil, as we say, Europeans, like myself, I consider myself European, they were pushed out. So when I think of going, once I was dreaming, I was in the car hiding myself. First of all, because of the fact that I was raised there, I made 2 films over there, and I was, I would say I started living there, and started living, it means opening spiritual and other processes. So one could say, how come this guy doesn't want to go there? But I am absolutely scared that my disappointment would end up in kind of existential story of Jean-Paul Sartre, in which if I would have gone there, I would walk, and if nobody kicks my ass, I would be probably leaving it without one single emotion. City is who is there. When you go in nightline of Moscow, you go to the place where you find people, because the crowd is not something that interests you. And this crowd has been changed socially, religiously, intellectually, and it's, for the last 20 years, it's built up another system of values in which I do not fit.
But your story is also like a typical story of a representative of a lost generation. The breakdown of Soviet Union also.
Do I look like a lost generation?
No, but Hemingway style lost generation.
Yeah.
So, you know, Soviet Union breakdown people went through that. I mean, I'm a little younger, but I also feel lost, you know. I don't have that strong sense of belonging to one country or another, because I'm Georgian, but now I live in Russia, and I was born in Soviet Union. Do you have a strong bond to one country or a sense of belonging to one place? Do you feel 100% Serbian? Is this what you are?
Identity-wise, yes, I do, 100%. But on the other hand, I have very much, I'm working everywhere. So I'm playing music in Latin America, in South Korea, in North America. When I make the movie, I go all over the world. I have French nationality too, because I am very much devoted to the idea of French vision of the art. I don't know how long time it's going to last. And I really feel good with the French, not all. So this is nothing general. But breakup of this kind of big countries, even Yugoslavia was big, is making, I would say, consequences which are absolutely difficult to carry on. Because once you were growing up with a national team in handball, winning a championship with Croats, Macedonians, with everybody around you, and apparently now they are, in fact, your enemies. This is what, for one life, this is what does not fit into one single human life.
Well, we'll be back with Emir Kusturica after a short break. Stay with us to hear what he thinks about the future of Europe and how to balance artistic freedom with political conservatism. Welcome back. So I sat down with Emir Kusturica, an award-winning Serbian filmmaker, to see how he feels about European integration. I asked him what he thinks about Serbia's inevitable EU membership, because, unlike Ukraine, Belgrade isn't being offered an alternative.
I would say that Serbia is placed in Southeast Europe, and becoming a member of European Union makes a lot of limits in production, makes you developed as much as they want, gives you a chance to have access to the great funds. The question is how much you get and how much you lose. I think because to become European Union member, it's very expensive for Serbia, and I don't think if I was a president, I would never go this way. They go.
But what other choice does Serbia have? Do you think you can survive on your own?
Why not? You could survive always. The best. How Castro survived next to America, and it's still doing well and still even alive. Why not? If you become, and then another question is, when you become European Union, does it understand what I don't say, becoming a Nato? I think it's compatible. One understands the other, and this is then bigger mess. I would say neutral. I would be playing militarily and economically a country which could combine the two worlds. If I look Hungary, if I look Czech Republic, except that they have all these old houses, I don't think the life of individuals is much better than it was before, except they could travel, they could work, they could do many other things. But what do we know in 20 years, in the crisis that is very obvious, what will be Europe in 20 years?
But I mean, no one can say what it will be in 20 years, but if you look at it now, yeah, sure, it has a lot of problems, and mostly big countries dictate what the small members should do. But overall, I mean, it has the diversity.
Serbs will have a big problem because they cannot self-produce rakia. You know, they produce.
Yes,
and this is when the I think the booze when they were given two chances to go to Europe to lose rakia, they will always make rakia not to go to Europe.
So there's a chance that Serbia won't become part of the EU then.
I don't know.
No, but what I'm saying is that, like, if you look at Europe now, it does have the unity and the diversity, and these are the qualities that you appreciated in former Yugoslavia.
Please let me give me what I say, the break with the idealistic visions. Europe is Germany. All the power and all the reproductive power and ultimate political power is Germany. What Germany tells you it will be, not what Romania or Hungary will tell you. We are speaking here about a region, the whole region that is going through a big crisis.
So why would Germany need Ukraine if they have Greece and Spain and Italy and
They
so
need
many other...
every piece of land in which they could bring cements, they could bring their banks, they could extend their power. If they have a 1 million people country, it's a market.
You know Russia very well.
I know Russia.
You come here all the time, you even speak Russian. You know, it's like you're filming a new project. It's also based on, from what I on Dostoevsky. Anyways, and you've said many times that Putin is what Russia needs because you support him. You say he's great for Russia. Why do you think conservatism and anti-Western stance is good for Russia, in your opinion?
I think every country in the world, including England, which is the parameter for this, needs to have conservatives, because all what experimental people bring is just too quick, and state, governing the state, is with many layers and with many difficulties, unexpected. So you need somebody who will control the territory with, by all means, with a very strong hand. And I think Putin is not as strong as they say. In between Putin and some others, you have either anarchy or Stalinism. So I think Putin is in the very good middle, in which at least the goods that are coming to Russians is still processing, and I hope one day he will start developing very soon more the question of social awareness, the question of the people, the teachers who live better, middle class. The problem for him is that the run in the world makes middle class, even in America, not living as good as they used to. The whole world is stepping towards pharaonic times in which you will have 3% of billionaires and nothing, and then you will have more or less poor people. So the system like this has to be avoided, and my support to Putin was, in fact, I would say, very fair, because when there were elections, they were asking me what would you vote, to whom do you vote? I would say if I was English, I would be against him, because I know what English wants from Russia. English history in the last 200 years was how to stop Russia on its way to Europe. If I was American, and we know what Americans do around the world, everybody knows. One says loudly, the other one is not brave to say. We know what NATO, apparently the military unified Western world that was existing to kill Warsaw Pact, and in the end they still continue existing. For what? For terrorists. Not very persuading. So when you have a guy who came after Yeltsin, after dancing president, who allowed every single agency to come to his office, somebody who is trying to protect your dignity, to have you on your own to decide which way to go. And I said I would always vote for Putin.
It's so interesting the way you talk about politics in Europe and Russia and America. Like if you look in your artistic style, like film and music, you're always about breaking the rules in everything you do. And then when you talk about politics...
I'm getting 60 now, so...
Yeah, but when you talk about politics, you're, you know, for an average year, you're a pretty conservative man. How does that mesh together?
It develops, because it develops from the period... If you remember Scorsese's movie Taxi Driver, he first doesn't have a job, then he gets on taxi, and then by driving the taxi he meets many people, he falls in love. In the middle of this, he just cut his hair, he becomes looking like a punker. Then he's witnessing abuse of a girl. The woman in love is gone. He's alone, and he kills, in a very bloody scene, people who do bad things. Then anarchy is behind him, he survives, the girl is back home, and he is again normal man. So when I'm speaking conservative, I'm speaking because I don't want to see again Bolshevik revolutions in which the mass is destroying such a strong and such a good Tsar and killing all family around. I don't believe that this is the way to do things. I'm always today more for evolution than revolution. But I could be still a revolutionary on the other side, because don't tell me that people in Maidan are bringing good stuff for Ukraine. Because today in breakaway Yugoslavia, in each republic, they have a great memory of the past, and they all say, we lived much better before than we live now. And they say, how come you're now in Europe? We don't know, but it was much better.
But also, like, the catalyzer of when you became so famous all of a sudden, once you won the Palme d'Or, it was because of the Western viewer who saw your movie and who claimed you. Do you see a contradiction here?
I'm not in contradiction with my Western viewers at all. The problem of our Eastern perception of the West is that we believe that Western world is unified from the top to the bottom, that they think the same. Go to Paris and finish in 4 o'clock in the morning in different bars, and you will see how much they hate the politics they go. So this mass, these groups of people are like us, normal people. Those who govern, they think about on behalf of billions, as Dostoevsky says, and they could even kill not to be guilty.
When you speak, well, everything you do, you have this complete inner freedom, right? In your films, your music, the way you speak to people. But you have the luxury of speaking about the issues, not being in the process. Do you think that freedom is applicable to politicians?
My freedom is comparative to the fact, to the truth that I was never a politician.
So that's what I'm asking. Do you think that could be applied to politicians who are in charge?
In the moment, if I become a politician, everything falls apart, because then you have to have a discipline, then you have to follow the way that somebody tells you. Like this, I could say what I feel, and I must tell you, all my life I was doing what I liked. And this is for why I could say that I have a quite successful and a happy life.
I know that, you know, when you became worldwide famous, you were reading lectures in the Columbia University, you were making film in Hollywood with the best actors. Why didn't you stay there?
I would die.
Why?
I would die because there is no freedom there. Hollywood is impressive, great. It was the source of my knowledge. The movies from 50s, 70s, from Capra to Lubitsch, the best directors in the world. Then Hollywood became what it is today. It's a factory which they call film industry, and when they speak agents in between them, they're speaking about industry. I must say that I'm an old-fashioned man who sees cinema as a great adventure in which each time I start making a movie, I never know where I could stop. It's like playing Tchaikovsky and finishing with Vivaldi. I'm 100% into the shooting, which is not, you are not allowed there. They have a strong system in which they fabricate movies, and I create movies. But I'm into another things now. I'm finishing another city, second city, which is on peninsula on Drina River, which is across the border in between Serbia and Bosnia, Republic of Srpska. I am building a farm in which I'm going to start taking care of cows and sheep. And I'm finishing my movie. And I hope that my life will be so stretched and so diverted that when the moment of dying comes, I wouldn't even feel that I died.
Emir Kusturica, thank you very much for this interview, and I wish you all the best in all your future endeavors.
Thank you.